All right, welcome back to Super Bowl 56. Joining me here, the great Solomon Wilcots. You heard him on our show all last year, and it was so great to have you on. Thank you. It's good to see you in person, first of all,
Yeah,
Solomon.
I know, right?
Yeah, and you played with the Bengals for 4 years. You played in that 88 Super Bowl game, and Biotricity is who you're here with. We'll talk about that in a bit.
Yeah.
I mean, how awesome is this for the city of Cincinnati and these Bengals to be going to the Super Bowl, man?
Well, first of all, it's great to be on with you because you
Thank
and
you,
I
Solomon.
spent a lot of time together talking about Tampa Bay Buccaneers and kind of enjoying that ride on the way to them winning a Super Bowl just 1 year ago.
Yeah.
And now here my team is in, right?
Yes.
Cincinnati Bengals get to get in. No one saw this one coming. And so we're just like in the city, everyone is sort of on cloud nine. And if they didn't believe, if there was any Bengals fans who just couldn't believe it, now, you got Joe Burrow now. He's come to town. He has told us this is the new standard that we're going to be doing this from here on out. And so now everyone is a believer in Joe Burrow and the Bengals.
What is it about Joe? I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure you've chatted with him. I mean, from afar, he's just got something. He's got the it factor. I know that sounds cliche.
Yeah.
Can you put it into words what this cat's got?
Yeah, he's got obviously the work ethic.
Yeah.
He's very bright in terms of from the neck up. The guy has a tremendously high football IQ. A lot of people don't know he played in a pro-style system at LSU. He was doing all the things. When you saw him on the way to winning a national championship, the way he was operating within that offense, he was operating in a full-fledged NFL offense, all the checks, all the protections, okay, all the hot routes that you're expected to do. Now, he was surrounded by some great talent, but that allowed them to elevate the offense and give him more things and put more on his plate. And so now that he came into the NFL, it's exactly what Zach Taylor did. You go back to his rookie season, he attempted 41 passes per game, only lasted 10 games because he got beat up and blew out his knee. But Zach Taylor said that he treated Joe Burrow, understanding his background. He said, I did for him what I would have wanted a coach to do for me. Zach Taylor was the offensive player of the year in the Big 12 playing at Nebraska, the quarterback position. So he kind of treated him the way that he would have wanted to be treated. Now, you have to have a special skill set, real smart player to do that. But he put everything on the plate of Joe Burrow year one as a rookie. And so this guy has just proven that he can. And so the more that he shows the coaches he could do, the more they're putting on his plate. And that's how he's been able, I think, to change a franchise.
Well, now the big question is, can he do it in the Super Bowl? And
right.
9 sacks against the Titans. This cat just keeps getting up.
Yeah.
He keeps playing with incredible composure.
Good
so we
point.
all know what the Bengals' liabilities are, this offensive line, but it doesn't seem to matter with Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
But this defensive line, as I saw in person,
it's the best. He's going to.
Bucks, this is a different deal.
It's phenomenal. And to your point about Joe, he seems to be able to rise above the circumstance. Most quarterbacks, they're only as good as the situation and the players around them. And if that situation isn't good, they're not going to be good.
Right.
He plays above expectation. And what do I mean by that? The numbers bear it out. He led the league in yards per pass attempt. He also led the league in completion percentage, which is hard to do.
Yeah.
Throw the ball further down the field and complete passes at a tremendously high rate, while also being the most sacked quarterback in the league.
It doesn't add up.
It doesn't add up. So that tells you about this intestinal fortitude.
Yeah.
And the way that I've been describing it to people, going all the way back to the middle of the season, he reminds you of a Brett Favre, of a Ben Roethlisberger, and that this is a quarterback, and there are very few of them, that doesn't mind getting his jersey dirty. Like the more he gets his jersey dirty and get knocked to the ground, the more he embraces the fact that he's in a football game.
Yeah.
So he plays the game, I think, with a different mentality than most quarterbacks. These are rare guys. But if you go back and remember the career of Brett Favre, if you knock Brett down, all you did was piss him off.
You poked the bear.
You didn't hurt. You poked the bear. You didn't hurt him. Yeah. He's not going to flinch and run in fear.
No.
Some quarterbacks do now. They come up chucking and ducking. That ain't Joe Burrow. This guy, he's meant to play this game. And I was listening to his dad the other day. He said, Joe's got older brothers and he's got a dad. And he said, and all of us played on the defensive side of the ball. He grew up around a lot of defensive players. So when he used to watch tape, it was kind of like the mentality of a defensive guy playing on offense. And so he knows how to read those defenses, but he comes to the game playing his position, I think, with a defensive mentality and that of maybe a linebacker.
Yeah. Solomon Wilcots joining us, played for the Bengals in that Super Bowl in '88. Also, Pro Football Focus, SiriusXM, NFL Radio. Got to ask you about the other side now. Matthew Stafford. This Rams team was just phenomenal. They blew out the Bucs for the most part in that game, and a great comeback. But they looked so good. I think they outcoached the Bucs in that game. Give me a little something on that particular game. What you saw?
Yeah, I mean, listen, the Rams kept the Bucs in it with 4 fumbles, right? Yeah. And next thing you know, Tom did his thing. What I loved about Tom, because they couldn't protect him against this group, and we're going to talk about that later in terms of how the Bengals plan on blocking Aaron Donald and Von Miller and Leonard Floyd. I know the Bucs couldn't that day. I thought Tristan Wirfs' injury almost was the last straw of a lot of things the Bucs had to deal with this year.
Yeah, but they put Josh Wells in there who was injured instead of moving Kappa out to
they
play
could have done some
and
things differently. That's right.
I think that was a bad mistake.
Listen, I think structurally, the Bucs, I mean, from a coaching standpoint, to your point, there are a lot of missteps. The things they could have done better this season.
Coach had bad days.
That's right. On offense and defense now. And then to not jam Cooper Kupp. You're going 0 blitz and not even jam Cooper Kupp and give him free access to the deep parts of the field. Knowing that's the guy Stafford wants to throw it to.
You played safety. You when if that call came into you'd be like,
I would have
what's up?
I would have been like, hey, wait a minute. But I would have definitely just got depth on the play. He had just completed a 20-yard pass on the previous play to guess who? Cooper Kupp. So everybody saw this coming. Todd Bowles, and listen, I'm sure they're in there watching the tape of that one, and they're like, we screwed it up. And what I mean by this, by coaches' job to put the players in the best position possible to make plays.
Right.
And there were times on offense, and certainly in that case on defense, they did not put the defensive players in the best possible position to make plays.
And they were so good against the Eagles. And I know different team.
Oh,
up-tempo, no huddle.
Yeah.
And against the Rams, I'm like, they should definitely do that to tire out that defensive line. They never did it. Very strange. I know Tony Romo mentioned that on the podcast as well. Yeah.
And I think when it was all said and done, if you think Tom Brady's retirement, listen, I know he's going through his own process, but on the scale had to be how this season had to be more tiring.
Yeah.
It had to be more worrisome because by the end, remember last year, they let Tom do Tom.
Yeah.
They gave him everything he needed to run what he wanted to run.
Yeah.
And now it's as if at the end of the year, they're taking it all back. They're doing things differently offensively, not allowing Tom to have complete control. Hey, let's try this. Let's do this. It had to be tiresome for him.
Well, we've heard these stories, and we're not going to go into all the details. You and I have talked about this, but there is something there. You know, Levante David said there was turmoil. Seth Wickersham, confidant of Brady, said it was harder in the building.
It was harder.
People knew. You've heard the same things. So that's why I say maybe Brady isn't done. Maybe this is Brady's message to the Bucs that says, look, we're either going to do it my way or we're not going to do it.
They let him do it his way, and he won him a championship. You would think that would be like money in the bank. That buys you equity to get more of your way than someone stepping in and saying, no, let's not do that. What do you mean? Let's not do that. We've already proven it works. So listen, I always enjoyed watching Tampa. I love the Bucs, love the way it all came together. In year 2, it should have been easier, not harder.
I totally agree. Solomon Wilcots joining us here. So tell me about the '88 Super Bowl. I mean, Super Bowls are great for history, right?
Yeah.
And then the Bengals come back and we relive those days. Talk about that one and then the drought and what this means for the city of Cincinnati.
Yeah, in '88, I remember we start the season. Paul Brown, he was the owner. He was alive then. He stepped in front of us at our very first meeting in training camp and said, you guys don't realize how good you are. You are a phenomenal team. The year before was a strike year. We had huge leads, lost a lot of those leads, lost a lot of those games. And he said, when you come into games, people don't know which team they're going to get. The one that runs up these huge leads or the one that ends up blowing the big leads.
Yeah.
You need to make up your mind on what kind of team you're going to be and understand just how good you are.
Right.
And maybe it took him saying that to us because he was a great coach, by the way.
Yeah.
The guy was phenomenal. So we said, yeah. And we went out, man. We just played like we needed to prove it to ourselves. We played with a swagger. We took on a whole new personality. And we go 12-4. We win the number 1 seed. and we win 2 games at home, beat the Buffalo Bills in the AFC Championship game, and we're in a Super Bowl, man. Had the league's #1 ranked offense, the league's MVP, and Boomer Esiason. There was no doubt in our mind. And we end up losing that game to the 49ers, final 40 seconds of the game.
Yeah.
Some great 49ers teams, but it was 3-3 at halftime.
Right.
They didn't hang 50 on us like they did the Broncos the very next year. They didn't hang 50 on us like they did the Chargers 2 years after that when Steve Young was a quarterback. Yeah, so, but at the end of the day, it's been a drought in Cincinnati since those days until now.
Yeah.
Even though you had a Carson Palmer, right? You had a Andy Dalton. Marvin Lewis took this team to the playoffs, 7 times.
7 times.
Couldn't win.
Yeah.
Now Joe Burrow shows up, man, with a whole nother swagger.
Yeah.
This guy is going to remind you, JP, I'm telling you, of Tom Brady.
Yeah.
He's got it from the neck up. He's phenomenal. He knows what he's doing. Played in the pro-style offense like what we said, and the leadership and the confidence. Mm-hmm. And now people, just like how Tampa became a destination once Tom went there, Cincinnati is a destination. You talk to Trey Hendrickson. You talk to Chidobe Awuzie. You talk to Larry Ogunjobi. You talk to Mike Hilton. Some of the players who signed in the offseason, Riley Reef, as free agent. Why'd you want to come to Cincinnati? Number 9. They all point to number 9.
That's the Brady effect.
That's the Brady effect.
Yeah.
And so I think it's just phenomenal, but how quickly he's been able to lift that Titanic, right? To raise the level of expectation in Cincinnati.
Solid. I got to ask you about this because there was a lot of talk about it yesterday at the press conference. You know, the hiring practices for the NFL for these head coaches. I mean, 9 openings and essentially what we have 1, 2 marginally men of color that are getting these jobs. Brian Flores doesn't have a job. I mean, ridiculous. Brian Flores getting fired.
Makes no sense.
Ridiculous.
Makes no sense.
What the hell's going on? And how? I know we all want to fix it, but it's just basically changing the hearts and minds of some, let's just say it, old white owners that just aren't comfortable hiring a man of color to head their teams.
Yeah, you're talking a power share, right? Yeah. You're sharing power with general managers. You're sharing ownership of what you bought. You're a billionaire owner. This is yours. And, you know, I went through management training programs working in corporate America and understood, HR protocols and hiring processes. Most people hire people who they're most comfortable with. They're like, okay, that's why we get nepotism, right? That's why we get this cronyism. Friend of mine, in the job. And what you have to do is expand that pool and expose people to one another so that they tend to understand that these myths, fears, and phobia are untrue. They're just incorrect.
Unfounded.
That if you want to be innovative and if you want to consistently be on the cutting edge of whatever industry you're in, you need to find the best and the brightest and the smartest people. And that comes in different shapes, sizes, and color. Might be a woman. It might be someone you least expect, right? Might be someone young. Now, when our kids are coming into the workforce, now we all of a sudden want to hire younger people.
Yeah.
When we were coming up in the workforce, right? Or as we become more solidified in the workforce, all these young kids today, we got, you know what I'm saying? When a young lady comes into the workplace, what is she doing here? She don't know anything about football. But when our daughter is coming into the workplace, now we tend to understand what diversity should look like.
She knows what she's talking about.
People tend to do what they're more comfortable with and see the world only through their own eyes. I don't know what we have to do to get people to understand that Jackie Robinson solved a lot of these problems years ago.
Yeah.
George Washington Carver, one of the great scientists in this country, solved some of these problems a long time ago. Right? Martin Luther King, Barack Obama. I don't care what it is. Listen, talent, it's everywhere and in every culture and in every gender. Beauty, genius, we can find it across every race and every creed and every tribe, right, in the world.
Yes.
So when someone says, I don't know if they could do it, look at their record.
Exactly.
Look at their track record.
Exactly.
Brian Flores has a track record. He's beat Bill Belichick. In 3 of the last 4 times he coached against him. So at that point
it's
now,
hard to get better scoreboard than that.
So at that point for me, JP, it becomes willful ignorance.
Yes.
You know better. You just don't want to do better.
Yeah.
And so I think we got to get to a point now. We just start holding people accountable, and we
We
start
can
calling
with
it
Stephen
what
Ross.
it is, and
We
just
can start with
and
Stephen
say,
Ross.
hey, Stephen Ross, look, if you want to coach in this league, you're gonna have to represent better. Because last I checked, you rely on taxpayer dollars, you rely on the fans, you rely on public funding, you rely on the city, the county, and the state, right?
You have a
To help you with your business.
responsibility.
And he go, that's right.
Yeah.
And that social responsibility for all of us is to give back.
Yep.
It's to give back what's helped us to become good. Now, when you're talking about paying a guy money to not win, you need to lose your seat at the table, bro.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's all I'm
I
saying.
I think the NFL has done a lot of good things. I think their heart is in the right place, but where they are failing is holding these owners accountable.
You got to
Dan
go.
Snyder has not been held accountable
That's
for
right.
what he's done.
That's right.
You got to go. And, I'm sorry, the NFL can investigate, but you're investigating yourself. Owners own the NFL.
And
So
no man is bigger than the shield.
Exactly.
No one owner, no one coach, no one player is bigger than the NFL. And if you're coming in as a new owner, we got a lot of them coming in, JP.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
And they coming in with these ideals that do not belong in our game.
Yeah.
If you think that you win by losing, if you think you're going to find a coach in this league that says, I'll take games for you to get a player, come on now. You just sold the integrity of our league.
And
what
the
is
fact
that?
that B-Flow went out and won games in spite of it.
That's exactly
That's
right.
awesome.
I love it.
It's awesome.
I love it because we ain't giving up our competitive spirit for no
Remember
man.
at the beginning of that season, we were all like, this is going to be the worst
tank
football
for
team in history.
Tua and all this other
And
stuff.
what happened?
He found a way to win.
He found a way to win.
And he won over his players with that.
Exactly.
And these guys play hard for him.
What more do you ask from a coach than that?
Yeah.
I mean,
So he shouldn't be fired. It certainly had nothing to do with merit.
Nope.
All right. Or ability or talent
Nope.
or the ability to go out and win games.
Right.
Had nothing to do with that. All these Machiavellian principles and characters floating around the game, it'll cause us to lose our integrity. And what I mean by that is when people watch a game, you need to know that game is real.
Yes.
If your quarterback gets intercepted, you need to know that interception was thrown, but he was trying to hit the receiver. He wasn't trying. He wasn't trying to do anything else other than that.
And let's be candid about this: players don't tank. Coaches don't tank.
No, ain't
Owners,
happening.
Organizations can try to tank by making roster
But
decisions.
that's why we don't let them on the field.
100%. Hey, tell me about biotricity. This is something that is, especially with a lot of cardiac issues that are out there right now, is very, very important. Tell us about biotricity.
Yeah, Biotricity has one of the best state-of-the-art heart monitors known to man. It's an innovative treatment. It's called BioHeart. And again, it has a continuing heart monitoring feature that allows you to collect data. If you've had, say, a cardiac event or an irregular heartbeat, it allows you to track the data, okay, and share that data with your doctor. For instance, I'm wearing it now, JP,
right?
And you can see that it's kind of like an EKG, right? It's tracking
Look how cool
everything
cool
that's going on with my heart.
That's
That's right.
cool
That's right.
Brother.
That's what you have to be.
Yeah.
And so, but look, I can hit record there. This is the app, and it'll record hours of data, okay? And that way, if my heart has an irregular heartbeat, if it's slow, if it's not doing something it's supposed to be doing, I can record that and share that data.
That's crucial
with my doctor. So it does several things: retrospective snapshots, live streaming of your cardiac data. It's sort of like a heart examination without being in the doctor's office.
Jumping on the treadmill.
But and then you can share that with them. And so all you have to do, if you want one or need one for a family member or a friend, go to www.bioheart.com, or you can go to amazon.com.
Yeah.
But this is great, innovative technology.
There's a lot of cardiac issues in the last couple of years that have popped up.
That's
so
right.
It's
That's right.
Very, very important. And something.
That's right.
And what does the heart monitor look like? You don't have to show me, but it's
well,
just, it's not
imagine that
cumbersome,
you're
right?
in the movie like Iron Man.
Yeah.
So it's a strap. It's elastic, and it just goes around you, and it's right here. You
Can't
can
even see
probably
it,
barely can't
Yeah.
even see it. Yeah. And there's a little light on it. It blinks to let you know it's on. But it's just, I'm walking around all day with it.
Comfortable.
And it's comfortable. Look, I barely know it's on.
Yeah.
Barely know it's on. And so most people who suffer from some kind of cardiac event, it happens in the morning. And so you may get that irregular heartbeat, or you may have some heart palpitations or something like that. So you can sleep with this. You wake up, it's going to record whatever.
That's good.
And you can share that with your doctor. There are so many people who may even have a heart attack, and doctor says, you've had several heart attacks, and they don't even know it. This isn't to scare people. This is help you
Save your life.
to monitor your heart health, particularly if you have something that you're concerned about, and you go to the doctor. He says, well, go home. If it happens again, come back. Well, how are you going to record
Exactly
what happens? This allows you to do that.
All right, before you go, give me a pick. And what's your heart monitor going to read when the Bengals are driving for the winning score?
Hey, man, if we put one of these things on Joe Burrow, it wouldn't even go. It'd be like a bleep, man. I'm telling you, that dude is so cool, and that's why I'm rolling with Joe Burrow. And so that's what we're doing. I'm rolling with Joe Burrow. And the Bengals, who they? Got my boy Adam Pac-Man Jones here in the house. That's right, the Believe in Bengal podcast. This is my man. Go do your thing, baby. Good to see you. All right. So yeah,
Pac-Man side of you. That's
right.
Awesome. That's
I'm rolling with the Bengals. 30 to 27.
30-27.
You got to score 30. So 30 to 27.
At the gun.
I'm going with the Bengals.
All right.
All right.
All right. Thank you, Solomon.
All
Appreciate
right.
it, man.
All the pleasure. Thank you.
Fantastic.
JP, I appreciate